There. This is May 3rd, 2014, and I'm in beautiful Northern California, right by a nice, gentle stream. There's a nice breeze blowing, and it's a classic month of May, except for the chemtrails I see up in the sky, and the poison in the air from these things. They could well be destroying our health, and there's not a whisper of that fact on the mainstream media. And I wanted to talk today about the diverse ways in which humanity at large is being brainwashed, how we're being mind controlled and mood controlled, and how it seems to me the vast majority of people don't seem to really understand the implications of going along with this program that has been invented for us by a gaggle of lying, cheating, thieving, murderous thugs. It's not a Democrat or Republican thing, but it involves politics, inasmuch as the politicians have the appearance of being legitimate authorities, and therefore what they say, these Congress and Senate and the President and the court system, what they say goes. And that means that behind their decrees, their laws, their rulings, they control the entire United States military. They control the entire United States law enforcement. And I'm here to tell you that we are trusting in a group of people that are bent on destruction. And they're going to take as many people with them as they can. They're going to try to convince people to trust in the system, when the system makes absolutely no sense at all. And it's very destructive, and it's careening to destruction. And I feel like so many people seem to have become apathetic as to what happens. People don't seem to understand that this idea of loving your fellow man means caring about your fellow man. It means speaking out in behalf of your fellow man and doing things in their behalf. Because like it is written, faith without works is dead. And this means not only the things that we do and say and think are things, but the things we fail to do or say or think. These all have their ramifications, as we are rewarded or conversely not rewarded for doing what is right and proper. Now, I do believe that humanity's problems have reached such a magnitude that they are only to be solved by the literal hand of God. Now, does that mean that I don't have a role in that, or that you don't have a role in that? No, it doesn't. That goes back to what I was just saying, that in order for me to have a clear conscience, then I've got to act on what I believe is right. And what I believe is right is speaking out, speaking truth, and helping people to come out of confusion. Maybe to even help them to care about coming out of confusion. Because this world is chock full of lies and deceit and propaganda and indoctrination, inculcation of very evil intent. And it's run by a false sense of trust, that we can trust in this current world system, this monetary-based reality. But it's at odds with everything that God stands for. Clearly, it is written, we cannot serve two masters, and money is compared to the other master. So for all intents and purposes, the most any of us really need to understand about money is that it really can be seen as Satan. These are the words of Jesus, to paraphrase the words of Jesus. That's what he stated. That this thing we call money, the love thereof, the homage, the reverence thereof, is the root of not some of the evil, but of all of the evil. So whatever things that bug you, whatever things that you would change to have a perfect society, a perfect world in your mind, those things that you would add, those things that you would subtract, understand that likely those are the same things that God would add and subtract too. That these things are not inconsistent. That if we are genuine, it is written that if we ask and seek and knock, we will find. But we've got to really care. We've got to make a deliberate attempt. We've got to seek with all our heart, be diligent in really valuing the truth and wanting to get to the bottom of things. And we will be allowed to get to the bottom of things. And we will see things a whole lot differently. And we don't need a lot of intelligence. We don't need a lot of faith. We need the faith of a mustard seed to do this. And going back to intelligence here, I would like to state clearly that it is definitely not the most intelligent people that are ruling over humanity. It is, in fact, the meanest people. And this is the qualifier. This is what enables them to continue to rule over humanity, or that they are willing to stoop to any level. They are willing to do anything to keep control over humanity. And that includes genocide, whatever is necessary, as long as they can keep their position in place, their lot in this world. Because they love their lot in this world so much, they love to have that position of power so much, that there is nothing they won't do to keep it. And I'm not judging anyone, I'm telling them they need to repent or perish. That means to change their path that they're on and stop being evil, because time is running out for them. And the day of reckoning will come upon us, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know exactly when, but I do believe that all the signs Jesus warned of about the signs to look for before the end of the age and his return are falling into place. And at the end of the book of Daniel, it appears evident as well. And this is not just my opinion, but this comes from some very wise old men that have devoted their lives to the study of Bible prophecy and eschatology and all this sort of thing. So one thing for sure is that the time will run out, that good is going to prevail, and we should all get on board. We should all abandon all faith and trust in this current world system and trust only in God, the provider of all our needs, the only sovereign, our only true owner, the only one worthy of our reverence, our fear, our respect, our homage. Now, going back to this thing we call faith, it doesn't take a lot of intelligence to have this mustard seed of faith that Jesus talked about. It's just kind of looking around you and saying, wow, man, the universe is incredible. I can't comprehend the bounds of the universe, but I know it's fantastic. I know this earth is filled with wonder and mystery. I mean, all the flora and fauna, you know, the scientists can't explain this stuff. There's so many missing links, it's not funny. I mean, how do they explain the mere fact that not a stitch of human technology came about without this invisible force we call thought, imagination? That it all started there, and none of it would have come about, none of it would have manifested on Earth without this force, this invisible force. So how is it that science is going to try to convince me that all this incredible design, just take the human brain, how would the brain that we say is the source of thought, how could that have come about without thought when it's the most incredible computer that anybody could ever imagine. Humanity's so far from inventing a computer that is as perfect as the brain, that can think for itself, imagine for itself. There's no such computer on Earth. But there is some fantastical innovation. Technology has just reached an incredible climax on the planet. It's just, just mind-boggling. And it's all an invisible force behind that. That's the force that God gave us, this invisible force. And that's the same force behind creation. Why do the birds sing? What is this thing, called happiness? Why does a puppy wag its tail and smile? Why does every creature seem to be happy being the creature it is? It's all fantastic. Well, even a mosquito, it's aware that it could be prey for some other creature like a fish or a bat. And so it will try to evade attack and live to be a mosquito. Every creature, a dog's happy to be a dog. It doesn't want to be anything else. A cat's happy to be a cat. They all want to protect their lives. They understand danger. And, this all relates to faith, because there's so much happening on a visible level that you've got to decide that this is an eternal understanding, that science will never arrive at a point of understanding the universe in its entirety. We know that just by empirical evidence, by trying to understand the boundaries of the universe. It's impossible for us with the way we were created to understand. We don't know how grand the universe is. I mean, the scientists come up with wild theories about X amount of billion galaxies and all this, but, God only knows, literally. God Almighty that suspended all these planets within the galaxy and made the solar systems work. I mean, for crying out loud, the scientists suggest there's likely over 500 million habitable planets in our solar system. I mean, not in our solar system, but in our galaxy. And just that's one little tiny speck in the universe. So the idea that there could be countless, life forms out there, maybe very similar to our own, just different stories being told out on different planets. And, since God obviously loves to create, I mean, to me, the idea is really not far-fetched at all. And history would back up this idea that there is other life forms on other planets all throughout the universe, that we are not alone. So this is very fantastic information that the elite running this world really don't want you to have. This is the occult hidden knowledge they have, and knowledge is power, as we all know. And as long as they can muddy the waters, then they get away with it. That's how they get away with deceiving us, flat out lying to us through omission, which is just as powerful a lie. Not telling us what they know is very powerful. And they keep it to themselves and muddy the waters, which is very easy. If you take even a small amount of mud to a clear lake and you throw it in there, it makes the whole thing murky. And as long as they've got that in their favor, then there's that element of confusion that they inject into all the knowledge on earth. All this knowledge of other beings that's been passed down through the ages. This talk about angels, and the common denominator that a holy angel has with a fallen angel is that they both have the ability to fly, and it doesn't mean flapping their wings. It means technology, knowledge that originated from the mind of God. God gave the angels the wherewithal to create these flying machines. And the holy angels have these bodies that cannot be threatened. They're imperishable bodies, the kind that the righteous and meek that inherit this renewed earth are destined to receive someday. So whatever these crafts are these holy angels fly around in, they're perfectly safe in whatever they do. And it's not beyond the realm of our ability to imagine this. If we really understood that God controls the forces of gravity and magnetism, electromagnetism, all these fantastic, very powerful forces that, we likely as human beings will tap into someday. We're never going to be holy angels. That's not the way it's written. But what we are is children of God, and in that sense, we are like little gods. And our inheritance is this earth, a renewed earth, and with these imperishable bodies like the angels that cannot be threatened in any way anymore.